All right, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Pursuit Podcast. This is the end of the year listener appreciation episode, man. So this is our Pursuit Podcast Unplugged, is what I joked about before we started recording. So again, welcome to the show. We wanted to take a moment. If you're listening to this, we're right off of Christmas or just past Christmas. So Ben and I are going to be out, spending time with our families and doing all that end of the year seasonal holiday stuff. So we wanted to get together and just kind of talk about how our season is going or has gone so far this year, what we're up to outside of talking to our guests, just kind of more or less just on the personal side. And, appreciate our listeners too, man, because I think this has been something that, before we get into our season stuff, this has been something that we just kind of threw on the wall and it stuck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've wanted personally to do it for a long time. And we really appreciate everyone listening and watching, and it's been fun. It's something that we weren't sure about when we started out, but we've got some great guests. We've had some great guests on, and we've got some great guests coming down the road, so we hope you're excited about that. We are.
For sure.
And again, personally for me, I want to say thank you for listening and watching, and we really put a lot of time and effort into making the videos as well as we can, and making sure the audio levels are good, and we appreciate all the support.
Oh, definitely. So our first episode, believe it or not, February 7th of 2022. February. So I know that we had talked about it probably in that November, December timeframe beforehand, and it took a while to get things approved, just the corporate structure and making sure that money is being well spent. And as an update, not that numbers really matter to us, but I think it's important to let people know, by the time you guys are hearing this, we're going to hit 11,000 downloads.
Yeah.
And, and to think about, I get poked fun of and stuff working through the hallway and stuff here at work, but to think of that 11,000 people have listened to us talk to some really cool guests, it just blows me away. It blows me away every time I look at that. So again, thank you for all the listeners. Before we get too far, man, too, let's dive in and talk about our season a little bit. I know you just had some recent success. You guys will hear a little bit more about that next year when we have a really, really special guest on, but give you a little bit of insider information here. Let's go ahead and start talking about your hunting season so far and the success that you had recently.
Yeah. So my bow hunting season this year has been kind of rough. I've gotten out a couple times, but just don't have the time right now to devote 3-4 days a week to hunt after work or whatever. So one of our buddies here at work, Nate, yep. We go squirrel hunting at his family's farm at least once or twice a year, and he knew what was going on, so he invited me to go gun hunting down at his family farm, and I took him up on the offer, and I was successful. I shot my first deer, very happy. We were honestly on a doe hunt, a little bit of comedy behind it, but we went out. I think we hiked about a mile in. It was raining, the wind was blowing, and honestly, we didn't think we were going to see anything. So very thankful that one walked out, and really my hunt didn't last very long. It was very quick. We hiked in, we got set up, and under a minute he was whispering, and he's like, "Hey, there's a deer behind you." So it was very fast, and I think it was like 88 yards, and I shot it with a Savage Axis 2 350 Legend.
Shot out west.
Yep. Honestly, the caliber is crazy. I thought it was going to run off, but it just dropped him right in his tracks. He didn't move. Yeah. So,
he said he didn't move. So I think that's important to say too.
Yeah. We didn't get to that part yet, but basically it was raining. It was early still, it was light, but it was, still blue light out,
early morning.
So the deer came out. I saw him, thought it was a doe, honestly, lined up my shot. Basically, I wasn't looking for antlers. I was trying to make a good shot.
Yeah, at that point, you had every tag available to you. So, the mantra, brown, it's down, was definitely running through your head.
Yeah, basically, I had a tag. I wanted to get it done, I was on a meat hunt. It wasn't about anything else.
Sure.
So,
It's not even just a meat hunt, but an accomplishment hunt too.
yeah, first one
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah.
You know,
Chopsticks.
yeah. So,
Oh, Jake.
yeah. So we actually that was my brother that came up with that.
Oh, did he?
Aiden, my
Aiden?
stepbrother. Yeah, he came up with the name. But essentially, you know, I shot the deer. It was down. You know, we gave it enough time. We walked up on it, and about halfway to the deer, Nate's like, "Hey, just a heads up, we're known for spike bucks out here." So, and you know,
There it was.
yeah, we walked up, and it happened to be a spike buck. So, really, I'm happy with whatever I get. I'm not really trying to hunt for a trophy deer
Sure.
at this point. Now, don't get me wrong. If a 10-point or a
Yeah.
12-point
Oh,
walks
of
in front of me,
course.
I'm
Of
going to
course.
fling an arrow or take a shot. So, just like everybody else. But I'm not going to pass up a deer,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
if it walks out in front of me. So, yeah, I'm thankful for Nate. You know, it was a great opportunity
Yeah.
to go out there. It was very quick. And also that afternoon, we sat out and I helped him
Yep.
get a doe. So
Yep.
I think we were out there for maybe 45 minutes for his hunt. But I just got to sit and relax and look through my binos. And, you know, I was lucky enough to get a set of Vortex binos this year and a rangefinder. So I was able to help him.
Those were the Diamondbacks, right?
Yeah, the Diamondback HD 10x42 binos and the Diamondback HD rangefinder. I think it's a 2000.
Yeah.
HD 2000. Yeah. So those are very nice, and I was happy to be able to just sit back and relax and help him range his deer and, you know,
That's awesome.
make sure that it wasn't another spike buck walking in.
Like, yeah. That's awesome.
So yeah, that as far as it goes right now, that was my hunting season, and I'm going to continue to bow hunt.
Yep. Of course.
Hopefully get another doe.
It feels so good to get that deer off your shoulders, though, too, because it's like, and I've talked about it, I guess, on some podcasts too. But you're not too much of a victim of it. I struggle with it, but I feel like this unnecessary pressure to perform. You know, given where we work and what we do and how we do it, there's like this unnecessary pressure to harvest an animal. But you know, you're really good at it in terms of like, you know, I'm going to shoot what I'm going to shoot. It is what it is. This is my life. My life isn't the same as somebody else. And so kudos to you, man, for having that mindset on there too.
Thank you. You know, it's just something that, like we've talked about on the first episode, I'm not a deer hunter.
Yeah.
This is, you know, I think my second season. Last season, I, you know, ate tag soup.
Yeah. We
So
both did.
For me, it's more important to make a clean shot and fill the freezer.
Yeah. Yeah. And like going back to just your mantra and just how you live your life too, like everything is very methodical, almost to a detriment at times. You know, you're the kind of guy that's not going to do something half-ass.
Perfectionist.
Yeah. And that comes down even to the shot, you know, to your, you know, if there's a 160, 70-inch deer at 36 yards and you don't feel comfortable at shooting it, that arrow is not getting slung.
Yeah.
And, you know, that takes a lot to do that and to perform under that pressure.
It might happen down the road. Like, you know, the more practice you get, the more
Sure.
you shoot out to 60 yards, you get more comfortable with a shot like that. But
Yeah.
honestly, right now, with my skill level, I'm pretty green in the archery department. So, you know, inside of 30 yards is going to be the distance for me. That's where I'm comfortable. And again, it just goes back to the ethical shot. I want to make sure it's going to be a quick, clean kill, and I don't want to have to worry about the animal suffering.
Oh,
you know?
For sure. And I think tying back in, that's a perfect segue to kind of what my season's been like a little bit too. So, you know, I went out early October with Taylor Honnert, who's on our pro staff team. You guys have heard him on this podcast at least a couple times, I think, at this point, and or at least heard us talk about him. And you know, he put me on a hang-on stand, which as a saddle guy was a whole new experience for me. You know, I've been in ladder stands and stuff. I actually brought my saddle with me to use. That was my safety harness, if you will. And I had I'd say he was 110, maybe 120 inch little basket 8-point, nothing crazy. And I mean, again, I'm kind of green into this as well. You know, I've taken deer. I haven't taken a buck yet, but I've kind of held myself to a certain standard where I don't want to shoot anything that like I want it to be respectable. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I'm knowledgeable enough at this point not to shoot something super small. Not that I'm trying to like, you know, shoot 200s or whatever, but you know, you get where I'm talking about. Something that I'd be proud to have, and you know, people would be proud. Not that there's anything wrong with shooting again a spike, but he walked in, and you know, I hadn't really hunted over corn before. Like the deer I've taken in the past haven't been over corn, and so I jumped the gun and probably should have waited a little bit until he was closer to feeding, and I sent one right over his back. I mean, I joked I have the UltraView scope for my sight, and there's a 4-minute timer on that battery. It's nice because you have a battery, so that low light situation. I mean, we're talking early October. Yeah, this was like 6:30. I can't remember when it gets dark, but we were pretty close to being dark. Right after that, it was you know, maybe 30 minutes after that, it was getting towards the end of legal shooting light, and the timer went out. Not to mention you have buck fever, you're shaking. You know, it was a 25-yard shot,
and in a stand that you're not used to shooting out of. It's a little bit different.
Now, yeah, and, you know, I didn't have the. I will say though, hunting out of a hang-on stand was really nice. Like I like my saddle, but just the comfort of it and crossing your feet and just hanging up there and having the extra room. But the timer went out, and so, you know, at that point you're at full draw, and unlike you probably would have just let down. I was like, sling it, and of course I missed, and you know, he actually came back into the corn, but never close enough to get a follow-up shot. So I had missed, and that very next, that was Friday night, I believe, or Friday, and then luckily enough, Noah Barnett and Ethan Featheroff, who are both on Pro Staff team, they run Feathernet Outdoors on YouTube, Instagram, all that good stuff. Great guys. Noah had taken a deer that same day, and so I went that next morning and took pictures for him out in the field, you know, nice prop studio type shots, if you will. And we got to talking about the experience, and he goes, "Hey, come, you know, we have some does on this property that we want to try to manage. Let's come get your mind right. Let's come, you know, I needed that redemption hunt to kind of settle down the fact that, you know, because you know very well I can make a 25-yard shot. I mean, I practice archery more than anybody that I know. And so we did, and it was middle of October at this point. I think it was like, well, no, yeah, it was October 17th, I think, is when I shot it. So they give you a time frame. First deer that came in without antlers was going to get an arrow. And they had a really cool spot. Again, we did a ladder hunt. Noah filmed it. We haven't put that video together yet. 15-yard shot, cut the heart, both lungs. It died, and it fell forward, and I range finded it was 24 yards. So that was like, after I was done with that, there was still the other smaller deer were still hanging around. It ended up being a button buck. You know, it was just far enough that you couldn't really tell. And first one out of a saddle, first one with that 33-inch bow out of a saddle, which I thought was going to be potentially a challenge. Luckily, I set it up on my left-hand side, which, as you know, is that strong side for the archery shot when you're hunting out of a saddle. If you're in a saddle, you always want to set up your shot, if you can, to be on your left side if you're right-handed, or your right side if you're left-handed, because that's the easiest way to grab your bow, pull it out. There's no twisting or anything. Drilled them. Like I said, 24 yards, ended up being a button buck. I was super excited and just thankful for that opportunity, because, you know, you've seen some of the clips that they filmed. I got emotional after that. And it was because the last 4 deer I've shot at have missed, 2 of which you were with me, you know, that buck. And then the rut last year, I mean, 130-inch deer, and it was right over top of his back. It hit a stick.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think you hit a stick on that one.
Yeah, and it was just like, damn it, man. Like, you're in the right spot, but you know what you need to look for. You know where you need to hunt. You just can't connect. And so that was super fun. super fun to get. And I'm really thankful for them because unlike you, that didn't count towards my buck total this year. So like you, I'm definitely, we're getting as you guys hear this, we've already had the cold front that's supposedly coming through here in a couple days. We're recording this on Wednesday. We're supposed to have a 30-degree drop this weekend.
Yeah, it's going to be 8 degrees or something.
Yeah, so, strap on that mobile warming vest, throw on my cold weather gear, my Alpha Burley Pros, and hope for the best with some hand warmers and try to get out there. It's funny, right before we came down here, everyone was talking about how, I don't know if I can make it to work, or it's going to be cold. Can you believe this temperature? And I'm like, Ben, it's going to be a cold front. It's going to be super cold. If we can handle it, there's going to be deer on their feet in daylight. I can't wait. And so we're actually both taking off on Friday.
Yeah.
And I'm excited for that too. But that's just kind of like real quick, like the rundown. So again, I'm still deer hunting. I'm still buck hunting. There's a couple deer that made it through, at least on my trail cameras, and made it through the gun seasons. Now, whether or not they're there at daylight, that's a whole nother question. But we're still after it, man.
Yep.
We're still after it. So, all right, well, we're going to take a quick break from the Unplugged podcast right there, if you will. Ben typically doesn't join me on these commercial reads, so it's fun to have someone else in here. But we can't go any further without mentioning our great sponsor, Toby Burdett, with Burdett Taxidermy and Legends Big Game Recovery. Toby has been a sponsor from us ever really since
Since his episode.
Yeah, since his episode. Before we even left, he wanted to get in on what we got. And, it was really humbling for us to have someone that wanted to, give us money to talk about his product. It was just like, sure.
Yeah. And he does great work. He's a solid guy. I have to say, like, the first time I ever met him, it was like we were buddies. He's that type of guy. He's a good dude.
Sure.
And with the Big Game Recovery and the taxidermy,
he's crushing it.
He's killing it this year. So
he's crushing it. Yeah, I talked to him the other day, and he may not want me to say this, but he had over 200 whitetail ready to go.
Yeah.
Ready to go. And so he actually took, and you'll hear later, depending on when we drop this episode or drop this commercial, but he has the hide of the deer that I shot this year. It was that really small button buck, and I'm actually going to give it to my son for like his room. And so Toby actually has the hide and is getting it tanned for me right now. And when I brought my son over to drop it off, and my daughter, I should say, they were enamored by all the stuff that he had. He had nothing was in forms yet. He hadn't gotten all his forms yet, and everything was just kind of laying out. He had all the skull caps hanging up on his garage and stuff, and it was just like, he's got a turkey. So we got some of that, the taxidermy behind us. He's got a turkey that's sitting on the roost gobbling, and he's like, dude, if someone doesn't pick that up, you guys can buy it off of me. I'm like, I might, dude. It's a full body mount turkey gobbling on a piece of wood like a limb. It's sweet.
I need to get out there and see the place. I've never been out there.
It's really cool place right there at his house too, man. So like he gets right after it. So again, thanks to Toby for sponsoring us. And if you're in the market for taxidermy, whether you want a Euro mount, you got that lifetime buck this year and you want to get it shoulder mounted, give him a call. His phone number is 740-281-6435. Tell him that we sent you and we really appreciate it. And let's get back into the episode. Again, this is the Pursuit Podcast Unplugged. Let's go into what we got coming up for next year. I mean, we had a super cool guest on. I can't wait for you guys to hear this. Like, this is childhood idol type stuff.
Yeah. Super cool guy, down to earth. We're obviously not going to say it on here, but very thankful for the opportunity to talk to this guy. He was super down to earth, like I said.
Mm-hmm. And there's going to be more like it. Mm-hmm. And there are more like it. And that's, I guess, what I wanted to say too. So as a business, and what we talked about when we first started getting on this podcast, is that we have a lot of connections in this industry just based on the fact that we sell their products. I don't want every episode to be an advertisement for a company, but I feel like at the same time, there's certain people and certain companies that deserve our time and deserve your guys' time ultimately in terms of listening. So we really try to weed that out. And we'd be remiss to not shout out Ramsey.
Yeah, huge thank you, Ramsey. And
the NBS team, which is a national group of people, if you will, that all these businesses are a part of. And we're working on some really cool stuff, not only in the hunting space. We got some names out there for the shooting space, as well as, come springtime, we're going to hit the fishing stuff really hard. There's a lot of really cool fishing guests. I know you're just like itching, ready to get all the insider tips from them.
We haven't locked in the details yet, but I have a pretty big one I'm excited about. I told you about yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
I've just locked a guest in for, the fishing side. That's going to be a sweet one. This guy has personally affected my life,
Sure.
From a learning standpoint. So I'm very excited to have him on. We haven't ironed out the details yet, but yeah. And then, we have some plans to, have some big names in the fishing world. We just need to
start knocking them down.
Knocking
them. Yeah. So that's some, like I said, we just wanted to come on and first of all, just appreciate you guys listening and gals listening to our episode. Just knowing that 11,000 people this year have wanted to hear two schmoes talk about hunting and fishing and have different guests. I mean, I think I pulled together all the states of people that we've talked to, and I think we're like in the 30s now, like 30 different states that people have come from or visit us on virtually to talk on. And it's just wild to me that this industry is as big as it is, and as just like, it's just such a part of people's lives, this industry that we're in, hunting, fishing, and shooting. Like, it's so small at the same time. Like, we can, just getting some of the guests that we've had on, it's just like, man, I don't even feel like I should be talking to you, but here you are standing there staring at me.
Yeah, especially the gentleman we were talking about a minute ago. Like,
yeah,
what am I doing talking to this guy?
So I'll just say it. So not who it is, but on January, what has that been? Let me pull up the calendar again. To the Pursuit Podcast Unplugged here. I think it's January 10th. January 10th, you're going to want to listen to that episode. We got a guest from Georgia that it was super cool. And we went on. I think that's going to be almost a 2-hour podcast.
It was a long one, yeah.
So definitely look that up. But that leads me to my next point, too. When we air this, we want to kind of get a feel of what you guys, the listeners, want to listen to. Who are these people that you want to? Again, we have a lot of connections in the industry just on the fact that we sell a lot of product. And typically we can get just about anybody from a manufacturer that's sponsored. So if there's a name out there, whether it's fishing, hunting, shooting, let us know. Send us a message on Instagram or Facebook or I think we're even on TikTok. So send us a message on those platforms. Email us at thepursuitpodcast@vanceoutdoors.com. We want to try to tailor this show to ultimately give the listeners a better experience. And so, let us know. I think here's what we'll do. When we drop this, as you guys are listening, head over to our Instagram page. We'll have one of those little, what are they, little question boxes, if you will.
Yep.
Head over to our Instagram page. If you're listening, Vance Outdoors Inc. on INC on Instagram. We'll put a story or something up. How's that sound? And go over there, drop in who you want to talk about or a topic that you want to talk about. We can kind of find maybe a resident expert on that topic. We're going to be having, some turkey talk, fishing talk, all that good stuff. So head over to that account or any of our accounts to send us a message and hear what you guys want to talk about.
Yeah, it should be cool. I mean, we, like Jordan said, we want to tailor it to what you want to hear. So whether it be gear or like, what if you're into squirrel hunting?
Yeah.
What if you want to learn about squirrel dogs? Like I would love to have a squirrel dog.
Sure.
We could have Dan back on or have somebody else, and
it could be finding shrooms.
Yeah.
We got people that are diehard mushroom hunters too.
Mm-hmm.
Like anything that relates to being outside, like hit us up.
Yep.
It's we try to put, like I said, we try to put the best guests we possibly can on each week for you guys. And, we want to continue doing that as we get into 2023. So that's all I had for him, man. Again, thank you guys for listening. We really, really, really appreciate it. I mean, from the bottom of our hearts, we do this. We put a lot of sweat equity and time in front of our computers. And, even at home, to my wife's detriment to myself maybe. But, we put a lot of time into this, and we really appreciate you guys listening. And, we hope you had a great Christmas. We hope you have a great New Year, and we look forward to talking to you guys again in 2023.